Last few answers. I should put the time down on this. All right, we'll take the 27 answers that we have. Oh, wow. Okay. Excited. Okay, excited seems to be the one that at least a majority of you, I don't know how many of you have actually put it in there. Happy and sad, new. You're feeling new. Awesome. You're feeling fun, super happy, hungry. I'm a little hungry as well. Proud of you, probably my mom. Motivated, fine, thrilled, great. All right, super. Really cool to see excited up there. Let's see who is on our leaderboard. MG in third place, got 4 out of 8 right. Alex, who was leading for majority of the time. And our winner is Shreyanshu. Hey, congrats. Congrats, Shreyanshu. Suan and Keshav, good job as well. I'm going to turn this down. So awesome job. Like I said, I don't have prizes, but I did think of it on the spot. Shreyanshu, if you'd be keen, I'll give you 30 minutes of time to discuss anything you want about digital marketing or Google marketing after whenever you want with me. Might not be much of a draw. And you can choose to say you don't want it either. That's completely fine, but that's all the prizes I have for now. But really good job. And the reason, folks, that we've done this is there's a lot of stuff that's changing in the world. Stuff that you think is trending is actually not. In a variety of categories. And I'll show you how this all ties in to ways that you can actually figure all this stuff out on your own with some really easy to use and free tools. Okay, so I hope you had a bit of fun and we will loosen up a little bit. Let's get rid of this for now. And let's jump back into our presentation. Okay, so let's go right in, right? So let's talk very quickly about the new world that we live in. And there's a term that's been coined, right? It's called VUCA, VUCA, which essentially stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It's a term that dates back to the US Army back in the days. But I thought and it's like from the times of World War, right? And before, it's so ironic that we're using that to describe the situation in these kind of pandemics and crises. I actually like to call them very uncharacteristic activities. And as a marketer, you'll probably see why that makes a little more sense, because people are being uncharacteristic. And the last thing you want as a marketer is to have uncharacteristic audience behavior. People being unpredictable, people buying in ways that they've never bought before, consuming in ways that they've never done before. Because having that element of predictability is your biggest arsenal as a marketer. You know what they want and you can give it to them, right? And especially when you are not causing that change in unpredictability, that's the problem. So I'm sure Netflix isn't complaining about people watching movies at home rather than at the cinema. They've caused that change, right? But when a crisis does it, it becomes all the more difficult for you to kind of adapt. So the challenge we need to address though is how you can make digital your friend, if it's not already, because it's the only thing that can keep pace with these changing behaviors, whether that's haze, floods, pandemics like COVID-19. Effectively, our narrative as a brand or as marketers, our transformation shouldn't be dictated by the crisis, but instead should be ready for it. Now, I'm not saying I want a crisis every 6 months or every 2 years, but if your business can withstand a crisis, trust me, you're in a damn good place. It can withstand any other shock to the system. So you've probably all seen this meme, or most of you have probably seen this meme going around. Don't be this guy or girl or person, right? Who led the digital transformation of your company? COVID-19. Ha ha ha, very funny, damn scary, right? Because if you're letting a pandemic, like I said, drive your narrative, you're kind of screwed. So today I'll discuss a few simple concepts that you can actually start putting into practice from right now, from tomorrow, to really amp up your marketing and take advantage of what digital has to offer for you. So Philip Kotler, hoping everyone potentially knows, my good friend Philip Kotler, on what is marketing. This is how you would define it. Side note, I'm not the kind of guy who would put a quote on a slide for no reason. even in Comic Sans for good measure. Anyways, I'm not the kind of guy who put a quote on screen for no reason. This definition that you see from Kotler is actually very, very valid, right? Focus. In short, he says marketing is giving users value by satisfying their needs while you as a company make profit, right? Digital marketing abides by that exactly. It is finding out what users want, giving them what they want while making money out of it, right? Except that when crises hit, when pandemics hit, when problems hit, these users, their wants, their needs, their expectations change very quickly, as we've seen in that quiz that we just played. And it's hard for you to react quickly, right? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And I find that far too often, it's almost a crime, that digital marketers tend to forget about the fundamental pillars that build the marketing practice. I majored in marketing in B school. Those of you who have would be very familiar with this. They're the 4 Ps, right? What goes into every good marketing plan: your product, your price, your place, your promotion. Now you're going to have a nerd who'll go, there are 3 more Ps for services. We're not going to touch upon that today. We don't have the time. But product, price, place, promotion is the basis of any good marketing plan. If you think through these 4 pillars, you're thinking through everything what a user needs. And I'm going to talk about how digital platforms, how digital marketing can actually improve and impact some of these pillars, right? So this is what I'm going to kind of pivot around today. Cool? Let's go. So on product, again, another little aviation picture, a little homage to the Boeing 747 from Qantas, which was retired this week. But headwinds and tailwinds, right? Typical in an airplane, a headwind is something that holds you back. You need to put more pressure into moving forward. A tailwind is something that pushes you from the back, kind of gives you a bit of a boost. So industries like travel, hospitality, retail, movie cinemas, co-working spaces have all found little or no demand for their product, their offering, during this pandemic. So they face huge headwinds. Some verticals have seen an increased demand, such as home fitness, e-commerce, edutech, so learning at home, telemedicine, even leisure wear, right? So like formal on the top, party on the bottom, are people, because of what people are wearing at home, are industries that have seen a nice little tailwind from COVID. E-com in the US, e-commerce, has seen penetration go from 18% to 28% just in the past 3 months, just in this time of stay at home, lockdown, MCO, whatever you want to call it. Grocery, online grocery gross market value has 5x'd. India has seen a 3x demand increase, right? So people are moving online to actually look to consume what they would have normally done in the real world. So if your product is out of fashion, right? And all right. So if your product is out of fashion, do you need to pivot? 2 things to consider. 1, are you ready to pivot? Manufacturing, supply chain, distribution, if you're a product, has all been hit, right? So can you suddenly start manufacturing something radically different, right? We saw Gucci starting to make masks, starting to make, Louis Vuitton was making hand sanitizers. So these are all companies pivoting to relatively adjoint product lines, but how quickly or how can you pivot to products that you don't really make by default? And the second thing is, what do you pivot to, right? You want to pivot, you need to make money, you need to pivot what you're manufacturing or what you're offering. You need to pivot to what people are looking for. What do you pivot to? So that's what we'll try and answer now with a simple tool. So at Google, we categorize trends into 3 buckets. Not everything is a trend. My quiz might have had you think otherwise. Not everything is trending. We look at 3 levers, right? Shocks. So these are the things which go through the roof. The moment there's a stimulus, the response is very, very fast. So think of stuff like financial pressures, retail shops closing, and all the toilet paper that you hoarded, right? That was a shock to the system. They are rises which fall quickly. Step changes are behaviors which start to operate on a new level. They used to be down here. Suddenly people are it's all the rage, and it's reached a new level of operation. So health consciousness, working from home, coping from home, stuff which is going to be the norm for a while, right? For the near future, these are going to be on top of people's minds, whether you like it or not. And the last trend is speeding up. Stuff which was already sort of gaining a bit of traction, but because of this crisis or pandemic, it suddenly had to speed up even faster. So think of things like e-commerce, digital upskilling, live streaming, right? I'm talking to you over VC, are all cases in point. So let's look at a few examples. These are Malaysia specific, but like I said, I'll show you how you can pull them from your own, for your own countries. So in Malaysia, with the initial boom on shock, we saw where to buy, right? Where to buy something, seeing a bit of a dip, but that was compensated with with searches for online grocery. But as you can see, as things, MCO is our lockdown, CMCO is where things start to open up a little bit. You can see a clear trend that the moment things start to open up, people start going back to those behaviors that they're already comfortable and that they know, right? Initially, everyone, when it comes to airlines, this is an industry that I'm concerned with. When it comes to airlines, everyone was talking about how do you get your money back? Refund for flight tickets, refund for hotels. And this is an example of AirAsia kind of tuning their chatbot to deal with refunds, right? It didn't do it before. They pivoted an existing solution to deal with a trending user need for people looking to get quick and fast and easy refunds for their flights that were canceled, right? But that was a shock. It's gone. It's not a thing anymore. People have gotten used to it. When you think of step change, things like hand washing, bleach, disinfectant, sanitization have all seen an increase and sustenance in user interest, right? These concepts are here to stay, whether it's Malaysia or anywhere else in the world, because it's on top of people's mind. So is exercise and fitness at home, right? Everyone's trying to do home workouts, home video yoga, all that stuff. Great example of a brand pivoting is Rexona, right? The antiperspirant, who've quickly pivoted to create home workout content with a popular YouTuber, grasping that trend very early. Now, you could argue that Rexona, what's in it for them, right? They're an antiperspirant, they help you stay fresh, but arguably you'd use it after a workout, and they're capturing the trend and obviously putting their product in there at the same time. So this is a trend that makes sense because we know it's going to be here to stay for a while. The shift to online banking, right? People asking how to pay. I can't go into the bank branch anymore. I can't go to retail. How do I pay online? Credit card, e-wallets. How do I make insurance payments, loan payments? So this is again a Malaysian example from two local banks who quickly pivoted and set up their digital infrastructure to allow for online payments for mortgages, for loans, and for credit card payments, which technically were facilities which were not that popular before, and not really well adapted, right? So these great examples of for shocks, things which have risen and then fallen, and things which have risen and kind of stayed there at a new normal. This, for me, folks, is the new normal, right? A new plateau, so to speak. If you look at things which are speeding up, there's no doubt e-commerce has been accelerated. Ask yourself, have you bought something online in the past 3 months? Answer is probably yes. What you've bought doesn't really matter, whether it's groceries, essentials, non-essentials, whatever you have it. You could look at this trend for your own country, but Malaysia has seen a 2.5 time interest in e-commerce and of course e-services as well during the lockdown. The impetus for digital skilling, again, like a bunch of you, I'm so glad that a bunch of you are here to learn something new. But I've been learning a lot of stuff online, masterclass, Coursera, all these avenues which exist, which have always existed. Nobody really looked at it, right? Nobody wanted to pay to learn from home, but that's kind of changed now. So this is an example of Vodafone, who've launched the Very Me Rewards, which essentially give you a platform where you can go and learn online. So not really associated, but you're spending time on your phone. They're kind of locking you into their app and giving you the right kind of content that you're looking for. So if you're wondering how do you recreate some of this data, if you've been paying attention and you've been looking at my slides closely, none of this, the source at the bottom, right? None of it says Google internal data. Most of our slides would say Google confidential or internal. This is all externally available data, which is housed in something called Google Trends, right? Some of you might be familiar with it. Some of you might be hearing it for the first time. Some of you might use it, but don't really know what all you could do with it. So Divya has posted the link in chat. Feel free to open it up. I'm going to give you a quick 5-minute crash course demo on how you could use Google Trends for your purposes, for your businesses. Let me see how this works. All right, Google Trends. So this is what you will see. I'm assuming you can still see my screen. Please tell me if not. This is what greets you when you go to trends.google.com. Set up your geography up here. So I'm just going to pick Malaysia. But if you're following along, if you're doing this along with me, feel free to pick a geo that makes sense for you: India, Singapore, Dublin, wherever you're from. And you see this little box here. Just type in a term that you want to that you're interested in seeing. So I'm actually going to go in and put coronavirus. Righty. Oops. Coronavirus. So you'll see you'll see coronavirus search term, and depending on what you're searching for, you might see a little classification, right, of virus. What's the difference? Coronavirus search term is just the term coronavirus, right? And it's like coronavirus symptoms, coronavirus testings, very related terms. The category itself is, of course, all coronavirus related terms plus related terms as well. So if you're ever looking for a wider basket of terms, look at virus, right? So I'm going to go and actually check coronavirus, the virus category in Malaysia, past 12 months. And what does this tell me? That no surprise, till the 12th of January, this wasn't really a thing, right? It started to spike, and then it spiked again, and then it spiked again, right? So you can actually see how has interest in the virus in your country actually waxed and waned. In Malaysia, I can tell you we had one case yesterday, one new case, so we're pretty good. People have actually, the interest has actually gone down quite a bit. If you scroll, you can see which areas or which locations are people searching for this for the most. So Penang, which is a beachside town in the north of Malaysia, has the most. And this is all relative. It's not 100 searches. It's all indexed, right? We don't actually share absolute search volume. It's not compliant for us to do, but it's all indexed. So effectively, we're saying that, hey, in the week of 15th to the 21st of March, if the search volume was 89, compare that to the week of 12th to 18th of April, it was 100. So like 11% less, right? So it's always not absolute numbers. It's an index, which you can use to compare. If you scroll down, you can see related queries. So people who are you can look at, I'm looking at rising queries. So update coronavirus, thank you coronavirus helpers, tips for coronavirus cases. So you can actually see if in the past 12 months, have there been certain terms which have risen much more than what were being searched before. Coronavirus is a bad example because everything is new. I'll show you an example with KFC a little later, which might make a bit more sense. This drop down, you can look at top terms. So these are absolutely the top terms that people are searching for. Coronavirus, corona, update coronavirus, Malaysia, coronavirus, standalone, related topics are here. Now, let's say I want to see Malaysians love fast food. So I want to see how does interest in coronavirus compare to interest in KFC? Okay, so I'm hoping to God we aren't searching more for KFC than we are for the virus. That would be a problem. Okay, we're okay. But if you look at it, so you now have a comparison, right? That you can actually look at trend lines to see how is searches for KFC comparing to searches for the virus. Now the virus is 89 in this week, KFC is 6. So a little under 15 times, right? Is the interest in coronavirus compared to the interest in KFC. Again, if you scroll down here, you can see similar metrics. Let's make this interesting. Let's compare KFC with McDonald's, right? So McDonald's fast food company, KFC fast food company in Malaysia, pretty neck and neck, except KFC had a few nice spikes here, which McDonald's didn't. And if you scroll down over here, you'll see if you're comparing two items, you look at each individual state, the state where the percentage of one is more predominant than the other will be highlighted. So if you can see, every state here searches for KFC more than they search for McDonald's. Right? If I hover, I can see that in the state of Pahang, KFC searches make up 57% of, let's say there were 100 searches for KFC and McDonald's, 57 of them were for KFC, 43 were for McDonald's. So I'm hoping you can start to see how I put those quiz questions together. Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Rihanna, and I look at the chart, right? I look at the chart on the side here to see the average. If KFC has 41 searches, McDonald's has 36. Pretty close, but still a little different. And you can see over time how one has varied compared to the other, okay? Now, let's say you want to look at a specific category that you're interested in. You don't know what's trending. You just want to know what's happening in that category. So I'm going to take a category. Let's take the bed and bath category, okay, just for fun. So how do you do this? And apologies if I'm going fast. There's a guide on this, which I can share later. If you want to stay back after the session, I can take 15 minutes of questions as well. So you delete the categories you're looking for, remove KFC, McDonald's, have nothing up here. And down here in the all categories section, you drop it down. Most major categories are covered. I'm going to look at, let's look at bath, bed and bath, right? Let's look at bed and bath in the past 12 months. You can change this, by the way. You can change this to the past 4 hours if you'd like. That's how real time we're able to give you data. Doesn't have to be you can literally see what people are searching at 7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock today, it's 7:30, 7:45 right now, my time. I can see up to 7:41, 7:43. It's up to the minute, right? I don't think you're gonna need anything more granular than that. Let's look at the past 7 days. In the bed and bath category, see it's fairly seasonal. Weekends, probably people don't search that much. If there's no relevant data, we don't surface it, right? Unless we're very, very sure of a trend. So let's look at the past 12 months. So the bed and bath category, rising terms, breakout terms, which are like infinite growth, right? Didn't have any searches before, but suddenly have searches now. Toilet, bound, something. I don't even know what this is. Some stuff in other languages. Kids' bedroom ideas, takeaway bedding, platform movie. So sometimes you'll find some wonky terms in here. You got to be a little careful because the system obviously has classified platform as a bed and bath term. If you've seen it, you know that that's not actually true. You can look at top terms: beds versus mattresses versus toilets versus kings versus shower. So it's not perfect, it's not great, but you can get a sense of how big certain things are in certain categories and how they're trending. The last 2 things I'll quickly show you here. Let's say you want to know what questions, everyone always goes, what are the top questions that Google gets asked? Well, I'll tell you, you can find out yourself. Simply put in how, search term, what, search term, why, search term, where, any kind of question term that you have, right? Remove bed and bath, make sure this is all categories, right? All categories, Malaysia, past 12 months. More often than not, people ask how questions, followed by what questions, followed by why questions, and where questions. So what are those questions that they're asking, right? So on how, the top things, how are you, how to pronounce something, how to screenshot is a valid question. How to make money, which we all knew. Rising gives you some interesting stuff. Blackpink, how you like that? I like them very much. How you like that lyrics? How you like that so obviously a trending song, right? That people have been searching for. So it's not really a question, but it's a song from Blackpink. How many coronavirus cases in Malaysia? 1,750% period over period searches. What are the what questions that they're asking? What is coronavirus? What is COVID-19? Tell me what you saw. What is MCO? What is SIMP? What if? What is Google? I don't know. It is what it is. Sure it is. What to eat, right? So you actually get a sense of what questions are what questions are people coming to Google that you could actually answer, right? Why questions, similarly where questions, where your eyes linger. I don't know what that is. That's kind of creepy. But effectively by putting in how, what, why, where as the search term, you can actually see what questions are people asking. And then you can, as a brand, answer them, right? What are people looking to eat? They're looking to eat KFC, damn it, right? So you can figure out what you should be doing as a brand in that time frame. The last thing I'll show you on trends, people probably don't see it. What's trending right now? I get asked this all the time. Hey, dude, tell me what's trending right now. Like, go look at it yourself, right? So Google Trends, trending searches. This is what's trending right now. Unfortunately, Lebanon. We all know why. Fulham, Samsung Galaxy Note 20, COVID-19 prevention, and Ferran Torres. So you'll see around English Premier League transfer season. Malaysians love their football. You'll see Sancho. You'll see Europa League. Pixel 4a because we launched it. Cool phone, buy it. Willian, so on. So Willian to Arsenal. You can actually see what news stories are trending and what are people watching. So this is a great place to see day on day, like today, what were the trending searches in my country, and all you can do real-time search trends as well. Right. So the past 24 hours, these are all the things that people are searching for in your country. Just drop down here and change it. Okay, cool. That was my not so short walkthrough of Google Trends. Might have seemed very fast. I hope you got something out of it. If you want to stay back after 8:30 my time, which is 45 minutes from now, Happy to and walk you through some of this stuff again if you want, if you have questions. Right, what has happened here? Okay, let me go back into present mode. Okay, so that is how you stay on top of changing user trends, changing user behaviors. That helps you understand what your users want, helps you understand what product you could offer them to meet that want, right? Step one, that's the first P of marketing, product, right? How do you pivot? What do you pivot to? I just told you. All right, let's move on to the next P, price. On price, I'm not going to spend too much of time, primarily because there's not a lot to talk about here. That it's a very subjective sort of thing. But let me show you what my thoughts here are. Right. So just a couple of examples. One, the biggest problem, and when we talk to a lot of small and medium enterprises during lockdown, during COVID, we polled a lot of them. We had focus groups with a lot of them. The number one challenge that they were facing is cash flow, right? And makes complete sense. Accounts receivable way higher than your accounts payable. So effectively, you don't have money coming in, and you're stuck, right? Your customers are not buying your product anymore. So one interesting thing that we saw, which digital platforms allow for, especially when people are at home, is the early lock-in, right? So we saw, particularly in the airline, travel, hospitality space, was to offer up these e-vouchers and passes. So this is an example of a brand I like a lot, Air Asia. So they, in fact, introduced an unlimited flights pass. So unlimited flights over the next 12 months. You just pay us, if you're in Thailand, 3,000 baht for domestic travel unlimited. If you're in Malaysia, 500 bucks for unlimited travel, right? So I got return tickets from Malaysia to India for like, I don't know, 100 ringgit, which is a little more than 25 USD. So it was a way for them to shore up cash at the start, and they ran it through their app. So you have the pass in their app, access it whenever you want. You get a unique code that you can use every time you make your booking, and it gets discounted. Right? So this was a very, very interesting way for them to manage cash flow. So early lock-in, a lot of hotels are doing it. Buy now, travel later is the mantra. You pay for something now at 30% discount. We give you an e-voucher, and then you can use it anytime in 2020 or 2021. Right? So I thought that was very, very cool. The other thing that I saw rise up was this concept of marketplaces. So Klook, if you're not in APAC, you probably won't know them, but Klook is like, think of them like a travel experiences marketplace, some similar to Viator, for example, right? So they sell a day trip to, or tickets for the Petronas Towers, a day trip to Singapore from Malaysia, airport transfer, that kind of stuff, right? Typically travel-based tours and activities. But what they started doing was a lot of these small SMEs, small cafes, small restaurants started selling vouchers on this marketplace, right? So this is an example of a cafe here. Forget the name, it's called something, forget the name, in Malaysia, which was effectively, they were selling their vouchers for a discount in the future against an upfront payment on this marketplace. And these guys don't have their own e-commerce setup, they're a little cafe, right? So they're leveraging the marketplace beyond your Amazons, Lazadas, Shoppies of the world, to get their vouchers out there. Of course, those guys are great to use as well, but there are other marketplaces here too. And personal anecdote, my wife will attest to this. We were building this really cool Lego mechanic, fake Lego mechanic set, which is like this really cool Bugatti car. And I think 80% of the way through, we found one part was wrong. Instead of giving us a left piece, they'd given us a right piece. I was so upset, and I actually found, what blew me away was a Lego marketplace, and I got connected to people who were selling spare parts for Lego. So if you have a Lego that you're missing a part, you've broken a part for, hit me up later, I'll tell you what it was. It's called Bricklink or something like that. But effectively so cool because you have marketplaces for everything. So even if you're a small little seller somewhere and you want to sell effectively at a lower price online, marketplaces are a way to do it. You don't have the cost of setting up e-commerce, and you can just go through them and you pay them a platform fee. So that was really, really cool, right? So like I said, not too much on price. There's not a lot to really share here. Place, the third P, in my mind, the most important one, right? So I've got some really cool stuff to share here. So if you've not been paying attention, sit up and listen a little bit because this is going to be fun. Because ideally in this pandemic, place is the one that's changed the most. We're not going to malls. No one's in stores, no one's in retail shops, no one's in hotels, no one's in, well, anywhere really. Everyone's sitting at home, or they should be at least, right? So retail has been so badly hit this pandemic that it's caused a lot of brands to really rethink distribution, right? That's why we saw e-commerce speeding up, which was previously a nice to have, was exposed as being a dire necessity. If you weren't doing e-commerce, you weren't selling, right? So if you think of place, people always go, oh, my website, my app. Yes, you're absolutely right. That is, it's super important. Your online presence is your website and your app. But there are two more that I want you to really think about when you go back after today's webinar, right? Your website and app, super important. Get it right. Don't screw it up, right? Secondly, your place on the map, the digital map, which has become so much more important than ever before, right? Because there's just sheer volume of people who are looking things up on maps before they go anywhere and looking to get things done through map listings. I'll talk about what you can do here. There's probably stuff you didn't know. So hold on. And lastly, your virtual live space, right? Embrace live. Live is live streaming. What we're doing here, right? Has taken off. And it's actually an interesting location for you to really get into and actually own. So I'll touch upon each of these three very quickly. I'm not going to deep dive on site and app design. We might have a few product managers here, site owners who probably know this stuff really, really well. I'm not going to spend time on that. I'm actually going to tell you from a marketing standpoint, how can you actually use your own properties to tie a story for your users, right? So again, just first principles on this. So number one, give customers credible and detailed information when they come looking for it, right? They're turning to their devices, they're turning to online to look for information. So customers crave info. The more info you can give them, they don't need more uncertainty. The more info you can give them, the better, right? So few examples, Maybank, which is a popular bank in Southeast Asia, was able to give direct customers to useful resources on their homepage. You can see the moratorium on loans, operating branches, and how to open an account online if you're stuck and can't go to a branch. Tesco was being super transparent around delivery, saying, guys, we're overloaded, just wait, right? Giving you alternative options for pickup. And the Atelier, which is from a popular luxury cosmetics brand, was able to tell you, hey, if you can't come to our salons right now, you can still do virtual sessions with us. So giving them options of what they can do, how they can interact with the brand at times when they're sitting at home. And it's good, credible information because it comes from the brand, right? I would prefer an airline telling me which countries I can fly to than getting it from some random blog somewhere as a parallel, right? Being reachable at any time, especially after working hours, is such a boon. So if you think of delivery, right? When you're thinking of delivery for these brands, Clinique was giving free delivery. Aeon, a supermarket, was giving giving you the option to go and pick up. And McDonald's, one of the first few folks who introduced cashless and contactless deliveries for their home deliveries, right? So again, this is the kind of stuff which people are looking for when it comes to enjoying your brand or your product, right? And you're actually solving for people being at home, the place shifting from the kiosk or the outlet or the mall to your home. When it comes to being reachable, think of brands who need to connect and contact their customers, right? So this is an example. All these are real examples, by the way, right? So this is a chat with Samsung Malaysia, which my friend Jenny actually did when she was thinking of buying her Galaxy S20, Note 10, can't remember which one. This was as you can see, 9 o'clock at night, right? When typically stores are shuttered, e-commerce exists, but you can't really get an expert's help. But Samsung set up chat time to actually help people, even in the middle of the night, actually make their purchasing decisions. This stuff costs a bit more, for sure. So to have a call center or a chat center open 24/7, or at least up to midnight, they consider chatbot. Chatbots are a growing format with machine learning to essentially be able to engage with customers, even if you don't have a real person doing it. Right? It gives them some sense of connect with the brand. So when your stores are shut, this presents a really, really cool opportunity for you to engage with brands and for brands to give, again, credible information. pushing the boundaries of virtual experiences. Hey, chances are you're on a phone, you're browsing on a phone. Majority of traffic in the world this day is on a cell phone. Cell phones can do cool things in case you've been living under a rock for the past 5 years, right? Whether that's pinching, touching, they have a camera, why not use it? So two really cool examples. Again, Samsung 3D rendered their phones. You can't go to a showroom to look at it. Sure, take a look on your phone, right? So you could actually just use a 3D model of your phone, of their phone, and look at it from all directions. I think BMW did this as well for their cars, which I thought was damn cool. Because if you can't go to a showroom, at least get a 360 view of the car. This is a sunglasses brand called Key, and my friend is one. I haven't actually told him I'm using this here, so thanks is one. But effectively, it looks. I know some brands in India are doing this, but I thought it was really fabulous, where it uses facial tracking, motion tracking to show you what the sunglasses you're looking at would look like on your face. It helps reduce returns as well, of course, because frankly, people can see what it looks like before they get it and then get a shock as to how small or big or how ugly they look with that pair of glasses on, right? So if you have a virtual presence, really push what you can do with augmented reality, virtual reality. There are tons of guides available online, tons of developers who are new in this space, but really, really doing some cool stuff. So really think about what you can do there. Again, give users an experience of a physical store while they're at home, while their place is at home. Fourth, I cannot stress this enough. This really annoys me. It grinds my gears. Slow websites, especially mobile websites, right? You lose customers. Just get it into your head that you are losing customers if your mobile site is slow. Right? There is research. There are papers on this, and there is common sense on this. If a site takes a long time to load, people are going to drop off. Right? We see that in COVID times, speeds in Southeast Asia, mobile bandwidth, right, on internet has gone down 25%. This is from Ookla. What does that mean for your slow loading site? Right? It is a nightmare. So this is an example of a really fast loading site. It's called QTalk. It's a local Malaysian telco who ramped up their site to be a lot faster using accelerated mobile pages, AMP. Look it up after if you're keen to learn. Yeah, Kriti, even Mintra. So I think that was probably was that for the previous example or for AMPs? But arguably, your site needs to speed up, right? So we have a free testing tool if you don't want to invest money in this, which you really should. But if you want to just evaluate where your site stands, it's called Test My Site. Divya will help put the link in the chat. And what you do is it's super simple. Just put in a URL, we'll analyze it and tell you on a 4G connection, how fast does your site load? On a 3G connection, how fast does it load? Is that good or bad? How does that compare to your competitors? So you can go, if you're Mintra, and build on Kriti's example, and you want to see how fast Jabong or Amazon Fashion or whatever other website you're using to buy that people that you view as competition, you can see how fast those sites are loading as well to give you a sense. So yeah, thanks, Divya. That's the link. Test My Site, completely free. And we'll even give you tips and tricks on how you can fix. Is there a piece of code that's blocking your site from loading fast? Are there too many interstitials? Is there some audio or video that's unnecessarily loading or slowing things down? So we'll analyze your site and tell you what you can fix because nobody likes a slow page. Okay. Fifth one, this is a bit more of the emotion. Remember I said work with data and with emotion. Put your community first. If you have a website, if you have an online platform, build community. Example of what Grab Food is doing. Cadbury's Dairy Milk set up a cooking community, and you can even align with YouTubers to do this. So try and really build an online community of people, get them rallied behind a common cause. It obviously helps your brand. It helps people as well. It's the right thing to do in the time of crises. Okay, so that was 5 things that you could do with your website or your app. That's great. You should probably already know some of this stuff, right? The next 2 things are around your other online presence, your digital presences, yeah, I guess so, which is around your presence on Google Maps and your presence in the live world. So Google Maps, first of all, if you own a physical store, a physical outlet, any kind of physical place in the world, it should be on the map. I'm going to use the example of Spicy Crab, which is owned by my friend's mom in Malaysia. Google My Business, if you haven't heard of it before, please do look it up. Google My Business is where you manage all the information that goes into your map listings. So if you've seen a restaurant which has their menu, has a way to contact them, has the right opening and closing times, that's because that restaurant has gone in there and put it there, right? They've been good about updating information. And as a user, you see that that's a great experience. So let me show you a few quick things of what you could do with Google My Business to really enhance what your presence on the map looks like. Number one, you can share important information like opening and closing times. Super helpful to know if, and during COVID, we even let you put temporarily closed. So people know that, hey, don't come here, call us instead, we'll deliver to you if our store was closed during lockdown. You can use updates. So if there are, think of this like a bulletin board, think of this like a notice board outside your shop. You can put, so look at Ranu, eye specialist, right? So he's saying during this pandemic, we're still open. There's no night clinic, and guys, we got this right together. So message of hope, but important information, and it's an update. You can see when he posted it, so you can know it's fresh and it's new. So you can let customers know in real time as things are changing. You can share how customers can connect with you. So this spicy crab, my friend's mom has actually put up saying, hey, here's a menu. You can actually call us on this number and we'll deliver to you. We're not on Grab or Food Panda yet, but we're getting there. We'll deliver to you in the meanwhile. You can actually put in what services and products you offer. So Alpha Locksmith in Damansara Heights, not too far from where I live, has all the services. Car Immobilized can help you, lock replacement, safe lock, unlock, car unlock service, so on and so forth. He's put all the services that he offers, and you can put all the products that you offer. Like what this scarf vendor has done, right? They put in their products, they put in the price, and they've given you the option to call them. So I don't know if you knew you could put these details in on your map listing, but you can. And it's all the more relevant now because there's 1 billion plus monthly actives on Google Maps. There are people coming in to look for this information on the map, and you're here to give it to them. We've built in a messaging feature. So gone are the days where somebody looks up a map phone number, then goes somewhere else to messages them, or you link them to your Facebook page and they ping you on Messenger. You can ping these restaurants, these outlets right through Maps itself. It sends an SMS to them, and they'll respond. Again, tells you how quickly they respond. And we ding outlets or locations which don't respond fast enough. So if they're super slow, we remove the messaging feature for them. So you know that if you see messaging on Google Maps, you should know that this guy responds pretty quickly. And again, as a brand, please respond fast when people ask you questions. So you have that option of 2-directional communication with people when they're on maps. You could actually get a quote. So let's say this tire service. So my friend Meredith, she had a punctured tire. She found this tire shop near her. She requested a quote, and she sent it them. And the next day they got back to her with a response. So again, if you're looking to drive qualified leads, you can use your map listing to do it. Again, kind of a no-brainer, but most people don't use these features, and they're incredibly powerful. The last bit on Google Maps, again, super cool feature. You can actually build a website using your Google Maps, your Google My Business account. So if you go into Google My Business, there's a website builder option. No maintenance required. It's a free website, so don't expect the world. But it's built off all the data that you've provided in your map listing. So this is an example of photography run by my good friend Flo in Singapore. He's a photographer, and this is his website, completely built on his Google Maps profile. It looks pretty snazzy, right? So, I mean, for a free zero maintenance website, it's pretty cool. So that's another feature that Google My Business allows you to do. So in addition to maintaining your profile on Maps, you also can look at building a website. Okay. The last location online, the last place online is embracing the live life, right? More than ever, we've seen people take to live stream to get into other people's houses. Arguably, if we were doing this in person, I would be in a room, I'd be talking to you face to face. But right now, even with your videos off, I'm actually inside each of your houses, as creepy as that sounds, right? And you're inside mine with this fake background. But live streams have become a fabulous way for people to connect with customers in a controlled environment. We probably have a few streamers here. They probably know this best, but it's become a fabulous format. The brands are actively using. So we're running a little short on time. There was a cool video, but So you get the drift. I'll share the video link with you guys in the wrap up. It's a 3-minute long video, but essentially live streams have been like 2012 Olympics, right? It's not something new. But also remember that you don't have to be a big brand. You don't have to be Katy Perry to be live streaming. It's super, super simple. In fact, last week I attended my cousin in Singapore's bridal shower through a YouTube live stream, right? And when I asked him, he said it was the simplest thing that he set up because it's really not that hard. Um, it's very, very easy to do. And you don't need to fear live streams that, oh, you need fancy equipment. There's none of that stuff. It's very, very straightforward. And honestly, events are moving to that space, right? So if you think of Samsung, Phantom of the Opera, Tomorrowland, the music festival in Belgium, Google Marketing Live, all events, big name events are all sort of pivoting, right? Galaxy has moved to Galaxy Unpacked Online. Apple is launching their new products in press releases and recorded videos, again, as a live stream. Tomorrowland has created a virtual music festival. So these guys are not waiting for, hey, I can't have to, the real life experience can't be given. You're losing money if you're waiting, right? So live streams have been a channel where they've been able to really embrace giving content to users in the most consumable format that exists at this point. It's not the best, but we make do with virtual platforms, right? So really, really think about events in the new normal, whether you're selling things, whether you want to just engage with users, whatever it is that you want to do. You see some really cool examples of things that have gone live. Car sales, there was a concert within Fortnite. YouTube did a few live streams. Shopee did like a home shopping network kind of stream where they were launching live offers. So that was really cool. And if you're looking at this and going, I'm not a big brand, I'm going to struggle to do this, don't worry. There is a playbook from YouTube for small, medium enterprises. Again, Divya will drop it in the chat. Effectively telling you how to go about setting up live streams. It's not difficult. Trust me. It's not difficult. I've done it, right? I was testing, I was playing it out, playing around with it. Took me like, you might have to invest a bit of time, maybe a few hours, but you will be a pro at the end of it. And there are tons of forums out there which offer help on how to run live streams. So give it a go. And yeah, it's a fabulous new way of a location, arguably a place where you can connect with people with chat and stuff like that. Right? So that's the YouTube playbook for small businesses. Arguably applies to anyone really who wants to run a live stream. It's in the chat. Okay. That is place, the third P, right? And I'm looking at the clock and I want to leave a bit of time for Q&A. So I would ask that if you have questions, start populating them in the chat right now. This is the last pillar that I'm going to be talking about. So we've covered product and how you can pivot using Google Trends to understand what is on top of people's minds. We covered price, so your marketplaces, e-vouchers, early discounting, that kind of stuff. We've talked about place, which is your website and your app, your owned properties. And we've talked about your earned stuff, right? Which is your social media presence on YouTube and your presence on the map and how you can connect with customers. All three of those are places that you can still connect with customers virtually. The last one is promotion. This, folks, for those of you who have not, who are not familiar with marketing, this is probably which aligns with you the most. The promotion is what you probably see most often. It's the messaging, the ad, the communication, so to speak, right? That's what forms your promotion. So, there's always this time-old question saying, hey, should I be saying anything at all during this time? It's a time of crisis. It's a time of a pandemic. Should I be talking to people, right? It's a question we get asked. It's a question that my brands ask me as well. And honestly, yeah, research that we've done, and there are some stats here which I've had to hide because they're internal data, but just know that a majority of people want to be spoken to from brands. So they want to hear how brands are being helpful or how brands can be helpful. So that's the talk to me bit. And they want to know what are brands doing for the community and what efforts are brands taking to help people, right? The act for we. So talk to me, tell me what you're doing, how you're being helpful, act for we, which is what are you doing for the community? This is broadly what should go into your messaging, right? This is framework number one, right? And in promotion, I'm going to talk to you about a couple of frameworks which can help you determine what is the messaging you want to take. So first of all, understand that the brands should be talking to people and telling them what they're doing. So how do you approach this communication depending on, you decide you want to talk to your consumers, what do you actually say? So first off, identify your role, know your role in the crisis. This will help mold your messaging. So are you essential? Is your product or service directly connected to the crisis? So things like groceries, food delivery, cleaning supplies, health, medicine. Are you adjacent? So your product or service might be helpful to some people. So things like stay-at-home content, connectivity, work from home attire, for example, right? Or are you indirect? So your role in the crisis isn't obvious. Luxury goods, fancy makeup, travel, so stuff which is not essential. So not everyone can or needs to be a hero, right? Just remember that. Based on where you land on the spectrum, your communication needs to talk to users about how you're being helpful if you're essential, or what you're doing for the community if you're indirect. So you see the talk to me, act for we framework aligning with your role in the crisis, right? So figure out whether you're essential, adjacent, or indirect, and that will help determine whether you should be specifically telling people what you're doing for them, or in general talking about what you're doing for the community. One more framework to layer on top of this, right, is when to say what you want to say, right? Remember, there is only two time periods in a crisis now, which is during the pandemic itself, or much, much later when things are actually subsided. There's no middle, right? So you either talk about what you're doing right now, or we're helping people, we're doing this, we're doing that. If you need this help, come and get it from us. Or you talk about, tomorrow or in the future when borders are open and you can fly Rohan Airlines, right? Don't talk about, when things are kind of okay, because that nobody really needs that. It doesn't really help anyone at all, right? There's no middle distance or middle vision. So it's either you talk about the now, or you talk about a day in the future when the crisis has passed. You either talk about what you're doing specifically, or you talk about what you're doing for the community as a whole in your messaging, right? So very easy to understand frameworks to help you kind of pigeonhole where your messaging should be, right? So let's take a few examples to really make this real. So I'll give you 3 examples of combinations. So the first one is Mass Mutual. So they're a mutual trust company, right? So playing a relatively indirect role in the crisis, and they talk about a later time frame. So let's give this a listen. Right? So as retirement insurance planning, so they're saying, look, we're protecting you now, but we'll do it for another 168 years as well, right? Much in the future. Sorry, from what I get, you're not able to hear my audio. That is terrible. Yeah, I don't know how exactly that's to do that. So Divya, if you could just ping me on the side how I could turn on presentation audio.
Sure, or I can. Okay, cool. I'll just ping you.
Sure, thank you. The next one is fine. It doesn't really need audio, so to speak. So the next one is, okay, is it audible now? Okay, perfect. So the next one is from Jaguar. So again, indirect role, luxury car. They talk about the now. So, right. Here we go. So again, really short commercials. Just let me know if you can't hear it. It's only music for this one, but right. So yeah, Vibhu is saying you can't hear the audio. Let me figure this out. See view options. Just click on that. Okay. See, this is why we should use Google Meet. Okay, cool. It should be computer audio right now.
Okay, no worries. We can probably send in the links later. Would that be okay? And I guess we will also be sharing the slides. You're not audible for now. I guess there's something. Rohan, your mic is, your audio is not available for now. I guess you'll need to reach. 1 second. Guys, just bear with us for a minute. I'm sure we'll be connecting with the audio soon. Okay, sure. Rohan is going to dial in back again.
Hey folks, can you hear me now? Sorry about that.
We can.
Okay, there we go. All it took was rebooting Zoom.
I guess we do need to use Google Meets now.
We do. No worries. Sorry about that, folks. Let me just quickly bring back up my screen. Let me. Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's completely fine that you can't hear the audio. I can share these videos with you guys later. Although there were a couple of ones which I would have really loved if you could hear. But no worries. So I'm going to give this one last. So Divya, I'm clicking on the down arrow near mute. It should say, what does it need to say?
Okay, so I'm sure you must be looking at an option as your screen is being shared.
Yes.
On the right of it, there would be a view options, something like that. On the top of your screen, you must be seeing.
Yep, I see your screen sharing.
Yeah, and then on the right of it, you would be seeing something as view options.
Yep.
If you click on that, there would be an option as share computer sound.
Yeah, that seems to be turned on for some reason. Like it looks like it is on.
Okay, I guess then.
No worries. That's okay. That's fine. Let's carry on. Hey, I'm new to Zoom. Don't kill me. Cool. So let's get back into it. Apologies, folks. So coming back to messages and timeframes, right? So brands that get this framework right land a strong message. We looked at Mass Mutual. We looked at Jaguar. The last one is Cottonelle, which effectively talks about how they're playing a role in the crisis at that point in time. It's a really nice message. I'll see if I can share these links with you afterwards. so you can play it on your own time. But broadly, this gives you a framework to think around what the message should be and for what time frame should you talk about. So another quick example, and this arguably probably wouldn't work because of the audio. I'm going to try once to see if it works. If not, let me know. Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. This is gonna make my last two slides look terrible, but that's okay. So this was an example that Guinness made for St. Patrick's Day, right? Strong Irish brand. And on the 13th of March, they put out this lovely creative, which talks about Aditi can hear for some reason. So I feel like it's not me, it's you guys. But no matter if most of you can't hear it, that's okay. So they put out this message on the 13th of March saying, hey, St. Paddy's Day, come down to a pub, grab a Guinness with a friend, get together and so on. And a week later, we were in the thick of lockdown, right? So what they did was very cleverly, with using the same footage, they literally pivoted their message to say, hey, we'd love for you to come down to the pub. But you know what, this St. Patrick's Day, just celebrate at home and know that all of Ireland is celebrating with you, which I thought was fantastic because it didn't need any reshooting of footage. It didn't need any redoing of their creative, just changing the voiceover and changing the sequence of visuals. So again, as a brand, when you're thinking of your promotion, don't shy away from, like, there's no such thing as wasted footage. Right? You can always rework things to make it work as times are changing, especially during crises. Who said you can't shoot an ad with a phone camera? This is for everyone who goes, oh, my creative team is stuck at home. We can't go out to shoot. Two examples. This is Kenneth Yang, the CEO of McDonald's Philippines, literally on a phone camera, which is why it's vertical, talking about all the health measures they've put in place in McDonald's outlets in the Philippines to keep people safe. This is Jim Purdue of Purdue Farms, and he's literally this old guy with a selfie camera saying, hey, look, just a shout out to all our truck drivers who are still getting produce to you, right? And these are the kind of messages which are easy to land, but so powerful because they are very relevant for the time when they're being shown, right? So all of this, that we've talked about promotion, those frameworks, they apply to creatives across platforms, no matter whether it's a TV ad, whether it's a YouTube ad or otherwise, right? Specifically from a YouTube lens, we don't actually think taking a TV commercial and sticking it on YouTube works, just because the way the platform works, the ability to skip ads in most cases, it's made it difficult for TV commercials to work on YouTube. So we've actually come up with a formula for folks like you to get your ads right on YouTube. It's called the ABCDs because it's really as simple as ABCD. I'm not going to go into the detail. 4 simple principles: hook your consumer, attract them right at the start because you have 5 seconds before they skip. Brand it clearly throughout the commercial. Connect with them, so make them feel something about your brand and give them action to take. Because when they're on YouTube, you can direct them to your app, your website, somewhere else, and get them to take action there and then. Versus a TV commercial which says, hey, visit us on our website, www.whatever.com, right? I'm not going to go into the details because we have the full playbook again for you. They just dropped it in the chat. So it's called the ABCDs of Great Creative. Very simple to follow. Most people don't follow it. I don't know why. But it gives you a feature to kind of plan your commercials and plan your promotions on YouTube specifically. And this is stuff that's worked. We've analyzed over thousands and thousands of campaigns. So in closure, on this final P of promotion, to bring my presentation to an end, I'd like to share 2 videos with you. And unfortunately, this audio not working is a real pain. But we're going to give it a go in any case. The first video is showing us how it's so easy to get messaging in a crisis wrong by using the cookie cutter approach, right? One size fits all. Say profound things that you're there for people and you get lost in the crowd. And I love this video. It really emphasizes that. And the second video is the one that's going absolutely viral because of a masterclass in editing and storytelling. So I'm going to play both videos, probably not to completion because you can't hear them. I'll give you the links later. But you essentially decide which bucket you would like to fall in during your crisis. All right. So effectively, these are clips of all actual ads from different brands. The audio is the same. It's identical to the somber music, the messaging. If you didn't know better, you'd think it's just one single ad. And everyone's guilty. Facebook's in here, Google's in here as well, but I'll probably pause before we get to that point. So this is talking about for all these years, we've been these 100 years, 190 years, we've always been with you. Restaurants have been there for you. Nissan's been there for you. That's literally the verbatim what they're saying. We're people, 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 people. We take care of people. We're people. We love people. We're there for people. Family. It's identical. The voiceover is identical. So I'm going to pause here, and I really wish you could hear this because it's fascinating how all these commercials literally are saying not like sort of the same thing, literally saying the same thing. We're here for people. We're here for people. We love people. People are our people. We take care of people, and it's fascinating how each of them are such different brands. It's all been the same, and then you contrast that with what is arguably my favorite ad in the past 1 week, and definitely of the pandemic. Hoping you guys will see this. You really don't even need the audio. Obviously makes it better, but I think the video in this is just phenomenal. Stock footage all done at home, right? You don't need to go and shoot. Now, to me, that like arguably was like a masterclass in promotion. Kind of said the same thing as all the other videos in the previous video, where nothing can stop us. We're here together, blah 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 blah. But arguably, that the visual element was what really elevated this creative. So you decide which one you want to be. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I know I overran a little bit with our technical challenges. So in summary, right, really think about digital marketing is no different from normal marketing. The principles remain the same: product, price, place, promotion. And if your services, then the extra 3Ps come into play. But really think, how can digital make you more nimble? How can digital help you understand the pulse of your customers faster, help you pivot faster, help you reach people faster, and help you do things faster? So in short, it's the way to go if you want to be quick and there for your customers. All right, thank you. And with that, I'll open for questions. There were a couple of questions in the previous chat, which I lost when I left.
No worries, I'll read them for you.
Yeah, Divya, if you could just please help me with those
Great. Okay, so the first question from Rohan. He asked, how would you go about Google Ads for a live streaming content platform during COVID-19?
I don't follow the question. Rohan, could you just clarify the question a bit more if you're on?
Yeah, sure. I'll just unmute him.
Sure.
Rohan, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, hey Rohan.
Hey.
So I just wanted to understand, like, I manage a content platform for the gaming industry in India, and so we are exploring obviously digital marketing in the form of ads, and we want to improve our mind share just through the search results. So one of the things that we are looking into is Google Ads. And so, just what would you say? What's a good place to start?
Okay. So look, I mean, when you think of Google Ads, they're broadly, very, very broadly, three places that your ads could show. So one is on the search results, one is on YouTube if you have video-based content, and one is on the display network. So things like banners which show up on various publisher websites, right? Search is arguably the easiest place to start because it doesn't require any kind of content creation. You don't have to have banners, you don't have to have videos, you don't have to have any kind of visuals. You could just use text. And it's fairly effective because when people are on search, that's where the intent is strongest. If you're looking at search, obviously there are two ways of doing it, right? There's your traditional SEO, search engine optimization, which is organically, how do you get your pages to rank higher when people are searching for content that you have covered on your website? Which we don't really consult much on because again, there are a lot of companies which can help you on SEO and a lot of people who do it themselves. On SEM, search engine marketing, which is where you put your ads on Google search, it's really determining where you or when you want to show up, right? So think of a potential customer who would use your platform. Get into their heads, right? What would they be searching for? What would be the right thing that they're looking for that makes sense for you to be there? So if you're telling me, look, we want to, we're looking to recruit new influencers as an example, right? I could be very wrong, but what would an influencer be searching for on search that makes sense for you to be on top? Is it platforms for me to stream? Is it top streaming platforms in the world or in India or wherever I am? So depending on what that query is that you want to be present on, that's how you kind of go about determining your keyword strategy. So yeah, I can pass on some guides after on how you think about keyword strategy, but broadly it's, you want to have a relevant ad that's relevant to what the person is searching for. So if they're a streamer and they're searching for where can I buy shoes, and you show up saying, hey, come on our platform, it doesn't really make sense because they're not in that mind frame at that point of time, right? So on search, it's super important to just be really, really relevant to what the person is searching for. Make sure your ad answers potentially that question because you know what they're searching for, you know the query, and make sure your website that you land them to talks about how they can actually solve that problem that they've come to you for.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Rohan.
Thanks for the question. I think Elton had a couple of questions which I missed. Divya, could you just help with that?
Yeah, sure. So Elton, I guess, wanted to confirm, which is quite interesting for me personally as well, if Google Ads shopping was free during COVID-19.
Yeah. So it's a bit nuanced. So you did see an announcement around shopping listings being available for anyone to advertise on. It's nuanced, right? And if you'd like, I can follow up with a resource on this that'll help you understand it. It's not entirely free, but what it does is we've essentially reduced the threshold that allows essentially even small and medium businesses to show up on shopping results now. So I can, Divya, if it's useful, I'll send across like a one sheeter which tells you exactly what you can do on shopping. But there is some stuff that you could do on that on the shopping front. It's not a completely free offering though.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Also, there's another question from Elton asking if is there any industry guide case suitable for specific Google features?
Okay, I might need a bit more clarity on the question. I don't think I follow it completely. If you're looking for case studies, so if you haven't already checked it out, think Think with Google. So THINK. I'll just type it in the chat. Think with Google. You just search for it on Google search. It's sort of our repository for all our thought leadership case studies, examples of great work from across the Google ecosystem. So you can actually filter for region, and then you can filter for specific verticals that you're looking at to get how specific brands have used specific features.
Okay. Can I clarify just the quick one, Rohan?
Please,
yeah. So basically, yeah, if we are using like e-commerce, for example, like consumer electronics, and then like you show a feature like trends, and then there's YouTube. So like how much mix of each feature that we should use? Like, is it mentioned the thing in Google for those industries? Because normally the ROI depends on like the user journey map, right? So I just want to tally that understanding a bit.
Okay. So you've raised a super interesting question, and apologies to anyone who I alienate with this answer. It's a very Google advertising specific answer, right? You're absolutely right, Elton. You have to think of the funnel. Having said that, search, display, and YouTube can all play anywhere in the funnel, right? There used to be this misconception that, hey, if I want to build a big branding narrative, YouTube is like TV, right? I can reach a lot of people very quickly with a visual message. YouTube has evolved. YouTube, you can now optimize your YouTube advertising to focus on action, which is very, very lower funnel. You can focus it to, you can optimize it to focus on reach, which is very, very upper funnel. So you can actually, and likewise with search, right? So is there an optimal mix? Not at all. It completely comes down. We've seen advertisers super performance focused who only use YouTube. 85% of their marketing mix with us is YouTube, and it works phenomenally well. It drives a ton of revenue, right? So I would say evaluate each platform on its own, but don't ever make the mistake of using the wrong KPI for the wrong platform. So if you're saying, hey, I want to run awareness on YouTube, but I'm measuring revenue or CPAs for my YouTube advertising that's supposed to drive awareness, that's a bit unfair, right? And that makes no sense. That's what you have attribution models for, to give credit to each level correctly.
We are putting like conversion tracking for Google Ads per se, right? But I don't know whether it applies to like the search one. Does it apply to YouTube and all that? So hence that question.
Conversion tracking applies. So you apply conversion tracking in an account, and it applies to any campaign that's running in that account. So it works for YouTube. So just look up YouTube for action. Just Google search for it. You actually see that you can actually use YouTube to drive performance as well.
Okay. Thanks.
No problem. Thanks for the question. Alexander, I can see your question. So how do you effectively differentiate your campaign during the time, considering majority are sending the similar messages of being there for you despite this crisis? Yeah, look, I'll be very honest. I'm not a creative person in the sense that I'm more on the media side of things. I like to think I'm a little creative, but people have told me otherwise and told me to shut up on this. But it's hard, Alexander, and the problem is, it's a noisy space, right? Everybody wants to talk during a crisis, and look, we share the insight people want to hear. So I think you've got to follow up your messaging with actual action, right? So being there for you, how? Don't just say we're here for you, right? So my grievance with that mutual ad, whatever, something mutual, was they just keep saying we're here for you, we're here for you. How? What are you doing? So that's where the talk to me, act for we comes in, right? So tell me specifically, how are you being helpful, right? What is brand A offering me that brand B, brand C, and brand D are not offering, right? The more abstract you go, so I think the Nike ad was damn abstract, but it's very powerful and it's well made. It could have also been a terrible ad, right? It could have been lost in that sea of being, we're here for you, you can't stop us, we're the human race kind of thing. Very possible. It just so happened that it didn't, right? So being very clear on what your brand proposition is, and what exactly are you doing for the user uniquely, can help you kind of, head and shoulder above your competition. But thanks for the question. It's definitely one that marketers are thinking through very, very deeply at this point in time. Okay.
Great.
Right.
Thank you so much, Rohan, for taking out time to share your insights with us and also answering all the questions. I would quickly request everyone to switch on their webcams so that we can quickly click a group picture. Unfortunately, we all cannot meet. So it'll be great if you guys can. I'll just wait for 5 more minutes, like 5 more seconds, sorry.
I'm surprised. Did anybody get where my background is from? I feel like nobody really tried to even guess. So if you saw the congressional hearing on big tech last week, this is what Sundar had behind him. Except it was his real house, and this is just a fake background for me. So, oh well.
Interesting. Okay, great. So I'll quickly click a picture. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. 1 second for the second frame. Okay. I guess that's all. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. It was great having you all.
iPhone, I don't know, man. I tried to tell them to use Google Meet, and they flatly refused. So take this up with this. Yeah, it's a much better platform.
Okay, great. Thanks for giving that feedback. We'll definitely look into Google Meet, and yeah, we'll get into it. Thanks. Thank you, everyone.
See you, folks.
Okay, I'll see you all in the next session. Thanks. Yes, definitely we're going to share the webinar recording. Okay, thank you so much. So I'll be ending the meeting now. So thank you everyone for joining in. Okay, thanks Rohan.
See ya.